Very, very exciting moment in the studio once again, because we are being joined now by Nicola Davies, who is a former presenter of the Really Wild Show, writer and author. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Nicola. Very good morning.
It's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure.
The reason that we're talking to you, before I forget to mention it, you're coming to Pembrokeshire not once but twice, but we're here to talk about the Edge Festival on the 26th of July. That's when you're going to be there on the Saturday.
I'm going to be on Saturday the 27th of July at 3 o'clock, and I haven't got to go very far because I actually live inside Solva Parish. Solva Parish, there's a little kink around my house so that we are included in the parish. So, Solva is our community. So it's lovely to be doing something, so close to home, when normally I'm going hundreds of miles to do book events at all sorts of places. So I'll be there on the 27th of July, talking about Wales, because my background is in zoology. I trained as a zoologist before I became a presenter and a writer, and studied various sorts of whales, humpbacks, blue whales, sperm whales in the wild. And so I kind of just want to share that experience with people who are coming to the children's tent in Solva Festival. And I'll be talking about that and sharing some poems and sharing some illustrations and getting people to get a handle on the absolute scale of these animals, which, we all know that blue whales, for instance, are the biggest whales in the world, the biggest animal there's ever been on planet Earth. But when you talk about 30 meters, it's just a figure until you start to pace it out. We were talking a moment ago about the size of their hearts. They've got a heart the size of a smart car. I know, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? You could post a 2-year-old down a blue whale's aorta, and humpback whales, which are a sort of much smaller than that, even they are absolutely enormous. When they're right next to you in a small boat, you really do get a sense of that scale.
Yeah, like the word awesome is often thrown around for things that aren't necessarily very awesome. But I imagine your experience through your career, you've had those moments of awe, of look at the size of this thing that I share this planet with.
Yeah, absolutely. And their behaviour is also something that sort of tends to fall into the background when we're talking about the size. Their behaviour is really, really interesting and really, really complex. And their relationships with each other, particularly sperm whales. Sperm whales are the ones with the great big square heads. And sperm whales have really, really complex social lives. They have relationships that last right the way through their lives. And we're actually beginning to find out about other sorts of whales now. And the more we find out, the more complex their lives we can understand their lives are to be, and their communication is more sophisticated and more subtle. I've got a friend, an old colleague, who's been studying sperm whales for 20 years, and he's been working with NASA using some of the software that NASA are developing for, if ever we meet little green people from another planet, and to be able to have a handle on translating a language that we don't have a dictionary for, we don't have a Rosetta Stone for. And my friend Shane is close to being able to use that kind of analysis to actually work out what sperm whales are saying. I mean, can you imagine? Can you? So, in the lifetime of children I speak to on a regular basis, I do lots of school visits and things, that will be possible. It will be possible to communicate with an animal whose life is totally different from ours, but which has a really, really complex and intelligent mind.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be great? I mean, I can jolly well imagine that they've got some fairly harsh words for us.
You've warmed up our
well, given all the ghastly things that we are doing with the ocean. And actually, I'm going to be talking to another author, a wonderful marine biologist and writer called Helen Scale. She's coming to St David's this Saturday. She's going to be talking about her new book, which is called What the Wild Sea Can Be, which is all about the threats and all about all the ghastly stuff, but also all about the potential for changing that and turning it around. It's really exciting, really nice.
Oh, that is really exciting. And I imagine you've had some really exciting experiences throughout your career. But very quickly, before we turn to your books in particular, what are some of the standout moments that you had whilst you're on the Really Wild show?
Oh, I mean, the day the camel got diarrhea. That's probably a really standout moment. Yeah, that was pretty awful. That was pretty awful. We'd make this, we playing football with a cheetah. That was great.
Wow.
But there are all sorts of things, things that you remember the things that go wrong. You really remember diarrhea, camel, birds going up into the lighting gantry and never to be seen again. Actually, one thing which is really, really personal to me is I had my kids when I was doing the Really Wild show. So I was pregnant and with small children and breastfeeding. And I stupidly wore a silk blouse when I went into the studio for one recording. And we had a little tiny baby kinkajou on the programme, which was being bottle fed by its carer. And this little thing started squeaking. And for some reason, my mammal body responded to it. And I was just, I was just soaked. I had milk running down the front of my body. It was just absolutely
the natural world.
The natural world. You realise that you are absolutely a part of it.
Well, they say you shouldn't work with animals or children, but you do both. And this at the Edge Festival on the 27th, what can we expect from the children's tent, and how you're going to be sort of portraying things with the whales?
Well, to be honest, I only ever decide what I'm going to do with my audience when I see the whites of their eyes.
Yes, read your audience.
Time. But I will tell you one thing, and that is that I have never met a child who wasn't absolutely fascinated by nature, who wasn't hungry to know more, and really ready to engage in anything that I have to tell them. So, I'll be talking about whale communication. I'll probably teach my audience how to speak 2 or 3 whale languages, which is, that's I've done that lots and lots and lots of times. It's amazing the ridiculous noises you can get an audience to make. And just sharing with them some of that absolute wonder of being close to these extraordinary animals. And of course we are, I can see the sea from my house. Well, if I stand on tiptoe at the kitchen window, I can. And that they're out there. There are fin whales out in the Celtic Deep. My husband has a fishing boat. We very often see common dolphins, although not so much this season. So they're there. They're right on our doorstep. And that amazing marine environment is something that's close to the heart of everybody in Pembrokeshire. But because we just see the surface of the sea, I think a lot of people forget about what's actually happening underneath. And although the inshore environment here in Pembrokeshire is relatively healthy, like all marine environments around the world, it has suffered at the hands of human beings. So the more we know about it and the more we care about it, the better chance we have for making its future brighter than it is now.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that in this world of technology that we are surrounded by nature, and particularly here in Pembrokeshire, we've got the only coastal national park. And going back to that natural world, there's a longing for us to be there, to be next to the horizon and the open water, and there's massive health benefits to it as well.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that absolutely breaks my heart when I work with children is to see kids who don't have the opportunity to be in nature. And I don't mean running around on a cricket pitch or a football field with a bit of manicured grass. What I mean is proper wild nature where they can make dens and sit in the corner of meadows and just look and be and feel themselves to be part of it. And that was an enormous part of my childhood, a really important part of my life and who I am, really. And I know there are a lot of kids that just don't have that opportunity anymore. Children, when I was, I'm 60, whatever it is, 66 now. And when I was a little girl, gardens were full of things like, as we saw cuckoos in the garden when I was a little girl. We saw spotted flycatchers. I haven't seen a spotted flycatcher for 15 years. So we have lost a great deal of that gorgeous diversity. But there are still things right on our doorstep that children can connect with and enjoy. But it takes an adult who knows to introduce them to that. And now we've lost the adults who know. You learnt that stuff from your mum and your dad when I was a kid, and children don't have that anymore. So I'm really, 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 really trying to inspire parents to discover those things, that nature on their doorstep with their children, because it's an amazing thing for families to do, an amazingly bonding thing for families to do, and will create memories and knowledge and delight that will be a source of comfort and joy for whole lifetimes.
Yeah, well, you're certainly inspiring me, and your enthusiasm for the natural world. I don't think the time allotted that you have on Saturday on the 27th is going to be enough. It's so great speaking to you. And in fact, Hayley Ellis, on a Wednesday on Purist Radio, we do a wonderful Wednesday, and Hayley has posted a picture. My boy doing what he loves, getting dirty, fishing for crabs, and he's there. He's got his wellies on. He's up to the waist in mud. His hands are covered. He is at one with nature, and if we can inspire a few more kids to get nice and dirty and be part of the natural world, it'd be brilliant.
If you're not grubby when you're 8, you're not doing your job.
So I can't wait. So that's the Edge Festival. Tickets are available now. You can find more information on our website, and you've got your books behind you there as well, and you're going to be you might focus on one of them in particular on that Saturday as well.
Yeah, I think probably Blue Heart, and also this one, The Star Whale, which has got illustrations by my lovely friend Peter Horacek. And let me just show you one of these pictures. He's just we wrote this book the other way round. I wrote words to go with his pictures.
Wow.
Oh wow, look.
Okay,
there you go. Yeah.
So for those that are listening on your smart speaker, PWR app and online, head over to Facebook because this video will stay live there. And who illustrated Blue Heart?
I did. I did the pictures and the words.
Amazing. Nicola, it's been a joy speaking with you. Gina, your thoughts?
It just sounds incredibly informative, but fun as well. So I know that anybody that's going to be heading to the Edge Festival on Saturday, the 27th, and coming to the Children's Tent are going to have a wonderful eye-opening experience. So thank you so much, Nicola.
Yeah. Nicola, and you're just one person there over the weekend. Get your tickets now. There's the Children's Tent, Literature Tent, and plenty of live music. We're going to be showcasing and previewing more of the acts of the Edge Festival as we near the 26th to 28th of July. Nicola, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Total pleasure.
Wake up with Gina and Tom. Weekday